Hello and welcome to IMC, the paper 007 of Marketing Specialization, Integrated Marketing Communication. At the forefront, not many of us are ignorant about this, but then a strategic learning will help the students and the audience pretty well. That is why we are here to discuss the various topics related to integrated marketing communication. I would like to take you through a very storytelling type of deliberation so that if you can replay the videos now and then, you can certainly touch upon the points and connect to the text that you are already provided with. I'm Dr. Rajugopal Silla. I have been a management faculty for the past 24 years and a trainer for 21 years in the soft skill area. And advertising, marketing, sales, and distribution have been the domain I've been dealing with. So I hope I am certainly going to help you understand these topics a little better. Okay. Today we will understand what these integrated marketing communication activities are all about through certain stories as well. Okay. You must have all noticed instances where you have toddlers at home, young children at home, pressing us, requesting us to change our opinions, behaviors, and actions. Now, that is what the promotions of marketing do. And this is all about the advertising, which is one part of the integrated marketing communications. Let us take an example. You must all have come across the girl of the Amul ads. We call her Amulia. Now, this girl comes along with the tagline, utterly butterly delicious. You must have come across these ads quite often in the print media, but then these ads have been there in the television. You must have come across some of these ads in the movie before or after the movie begins, and in the interval as well sometimes. Let us dissect through the approach of Amal and how they have been communicating with their target audiences. Now, what are the various methods used by the IMC, by Amal, through this particular promotional tool? And what are the various tools they have used? Let us first come to the television advertisement and also the outdoor advertisements. Now, in this, the Amul Girl mascot offers witty takes from everyday life events, and they are really impressive. They connect with us immediately, and that is the trick used there. Now, the tagline is the same across all the various activities the IMC of Amul has attempted to. The next one they attempted is the public relations and social commentary. Now, every time an ad of this girl for Amul Butter comes up, now, she would be engaging us in topical ads, right? Through a social commentary. Besides the ads positioning Amul as a relevant, and Amul gives the relevant touch with everyday Indian life, be it Modi ji, be it Amir Khan, be it an incident that has happened across the country somewhere. They immediately connect it and then say like how life can be taken in a lighter moment, in a lighter spirit, and we move on. Okay. Now, digital marketing. Amal has a strong presence even in the social media platforms like X or say Facebook or Instagram, where people come across these ads. They immediately punch the like button. Some of us are so impressed, we even share it with our dear friends. And this is how Amal has rolled us into this promotion, making it interactive, and this is how we share. Sometimes you must have also come across several YouTube videos which not only display the ads, you get to play it again and again and view it, and also sometimes you come across the making of these videos, right? Now, this helps the topic about Amal linger in our minds, and also as we discuss with friends, when we talk about these impressive ads, we also remind people about the product. Now, this is how it works. And also, sometimes you come across recipes uh, on the YouTube wherein Amul butter or Amul other products are used, and this is also an attempt by Amul through the IMC activities. Next, we come to the sales promotions. Possibly in your daily routine, you have not remembered the product Amul, but when you go to a shopping mall, or say you go into a daily needs shop, uh, though you have not have got in the butter or any other Amul product in your list, but when you visit the shop floor, you must have come across several danglers or displays, or maybe some units like refrigerator with Amul stickers on it, right, which remind you about the product. Okay. Now, this is part of sales promotion. Or possibly, as you are busy buying your needs, someone excuses themselves to you, and then they talk about the product and possibly some promotions if they are running at that moment, some schemes, some offers. All this they would be talking. This is part of the sales promotion, which is an attempt again through personal selling. Now, personal selling is that where certain deputed executives or sales representatives on the spot at the market complex or in the store sometimes interact with us and talk about the product. Sometimes they even invite you to participate in a survey. Now, this is also a marketing activity through the IMC department of a company. Uh, Now, in this, like say in the Amul parlors, the ice cream parlors, exclusive Amul parlors, or other distributor outlets where you come across these sales personnel who interact with you and talk about the product. Sometimes they give you samples to taste, possibly when there is a new product or a variant introduced, they help us with the samples and take our opinion. Now, this is also a part of the IMC strategy and plan. Now, in-store visibility is enhanced, and these personal selling representatives, they also help us focus on it or pay attention to these products, and also invite us to clarify any doubts if we carry. Now, this is a two-way communication. In the earlier ones, we have seen the TV and radio being one-way communication. Print ads are also one-way communication, whereas the digital media is a two-way communication. But the personal selling is an absolute two-way interactive communication, wherein you get on the spot feedback about your promotions, your products, your opinions people carry about your products, right? Now, besides this, we also come across certain sponsor events, like you must have come across the Amul ice creams or Amul butter ads somewhere around the stadium during an IPL or any other match. Now, that's how they bring it to you. And all these flashing of the images, the logo, the brand, the products, recall us, remind us, and at times for new products and brands, they even inform us. Now, what is the outcome when Amul has approached the audience through these various integrated marketing communication activities? Amul created a unified voice, utterly butterly delicious. Now, this is a unified voice which runs across all the activities, all the various activities, but the message is same. Now you can make your breakfast, you can make your eating experience, your dining experience much more fabulous when you have this delicious butter on your table, right? The message is consistent across the various channels, across the various message platforms, that is the digital or personal or say one-way communication, which we call about the broadcast media or the mass media. Now, they are culturally relevant now and are adapted to various platforms, ensuring a deep and wide connect to the consumers, right? I guess you got a fair idea about what we will be dealing with in integrated marketing communications. Now, there's a small homework for you guys. Now, having discussed the ads of Amulya, the promotions of Amul through various channels and medium and the various platforms, I would like you to delve some time in thinking on this one question. How each communication channel reinforces the other. I repeat, how each communication channel, now the TV, radio, and the mass media, broadcast media, uh, reinforces the messages that the print media brings or the digital media brings. Okay, this is one thing. You can also work on something like what makes Amal's communication emotionally appealing and timeless. It's been a long time, several decades, from the 1966. This Amal girl has been, I mean, Amal girl appears in front of us through various platforms and media. So, now what kind of emotional appeal has this girl made and how it has impressed you, right? Now the third one, how can other brands learn from the Amul mascot and the ads that float around through various channels? You can also delve on it. Okay. Now let us come to our primary task, understanding integrated marketing communications. Now, communication. We need to understand the purpose for which we communicate through the promotions, precisely advertising. Okay. Now, what is the need or the purpose of communication? We need to communicate with the people. So, the IMC purpose is to communicate with its target audience. Okay. Now, to communicate and do what? This is where we come to the basic purposes of communication: to inform, to persuade, or to entertain. Now, we inform people when there is a new product, new brand, new usage, new market, new outlets. So, we inform. Okay. Now, we persuade for them to take an action. And then we entertain so that this entertainment is a moment of happiness, and whatever you are happy for, you would recall it, and this happiness would echo in your minds. So the mental imagery brings back that logo, the girl, and the product all together. And when you're buying, you would prefer Amul over the competitive brands. And this is how it works. So the need for or purpose for IMC basically is to communicate, right, with the target audience. The second purpose is to convincing us about what the brand promises, what the product is, and how it will satisfy the consumer needs, and also to compete. The third purpose of IMC is to compete. How would you have a precedence or acceptance over the competitive brands? Now, this is what IMC usually targets at, or the purpose of IMC is. So, when we, through the IMC activities, communicate, convince, and we compete, what are we trying to do? A message is being created. The message needs to be accurate. The message needs to be clear. The message needs to be useful to the consumer, and also the message has to be truthful. Okay. Having said this, we have a fair idea of what the advertising campaign components are like, and we have a fair idea of the way the platform is used. Now, let us focus on uh, the communication intent through each of these IMC activities. Why do we have to approach the target audience through various platforms, right? Okay. The first one is advertising. Advertising, being a one-way communication, can work best to inform about the product or service, right? So advertisements inform us about the existence of a product or service or a brand. It will also inform us about the availability, the use of the product or service, for whom is it designed. So this is all information. And advertisements are repeated. So the repeated advertisement persuade us to take a certain action. How do they do it? In detail, we'll be talking later. But the advertisements inform us and persuade us, and they also remind us. That's the reason why you see those advertisements through a day several times, and over a lifetime, we see some advertisements a million times, right? Okay. Now, there are certain public service announcements also done through advertisements, where we also call them the institutional advertisements. Now, this is done for social consciousness, right? Drink and drive, do not drink and drive, right? So, drunken driving is dangerous. This is again an advertisement uh, done by certain institutes like the government and other NGOs as well. And sometimes, even as a CSR activity, the other organizations also do this as a concern for the well being of the society at large. Okay. The next is the PR. Now, IMC communicates through public relations, gaining attentions to polish their image, sometimes to offset the bad image caused by somebody or the competition. Public relations communications help us recorrect those certain images, right? Or to give a clear communication about what the organization or the brand stands for, right? And any miscommunications caused by any reasons can be removed, right? Okay. The third communication function that IMC uh, benefits from is the sales promotion. To persuade to try. Many a times you know about a product, but you are hesitant if the product will be useful enough. The product is easy to use. So the ease of use is known only when you have a hands-on experience. Now, sales promotions are conducted at shop floors or in the market areas. Sometimes even they are done at your doorstep to give you demonstrations of how the products are performing, right? So to persuade. So those sales promotions like sample packets, sachets are provided so that the consumers can try the product and then buy the product. Okay. So sales promotions allow you to try, to buy, and to reciprocate by buying again and again, repetitive buying and thereby strengthen the loyalty of the consumer, right? They help in that loyalty. Okay. And finally, personal selling, where, as I said, like sometimes the companies even deliver those samples and demonstrations at your doorstep, which is usually done by the sales, personal selling executives who persuade you and clarify all your query, because it's a two-way communication, a face-to-face communication. It helps in on-the-spot clarification of doubts. So it is very, very effective. They also remind you about things like a sales executive might have visited you, deep briefed about the product, and sometime later he would give you a reminder call saying that it is time to act now, or an opportunity you would be missing, like the last date to buy or avail a certain scheme or offer will be informed to you, right? So it's a two-way communication and it is very, very helpful. Okay. Now, having understood this, let us move on to understand the key features of IMC. Now, IMC begins with the consumer in mind. That is, we start with the consumer or the prospect as our focus. Right? Why do we have to do this? There are inventions, discoveries that happen and bring in new products, uh, modified products to the market. But if they are not informed to the consumer, possibly they would fail. On the other hand, most of these products are designed to meet certain consumer needs, but then reaching them to the target consumer may not be that easy, right? Or possibly the researcher may not have come up with the exact way the consumer wanted it. How about making it much effective when we try to understand the need of the consumer way better and then bring the product the way it is desired by the consumer, so that there is immediate acceptance, so that there is a long-term acceptance of the product or the service. So instead of having an inside out, like I design a product and I give it to the world, it would be not as effective as I find out what the world needs and then I create that product as desired by the consumer. So it's an outside in approach. Now, consumers these days are in absolute control of the market. So, Marcom executives try to personalize the messages through these promotional activities. Now, these days, we notice reduced dependence on the mass media. Okay, instead of watching more of TV or listening to the radio, uh, audiences these days are more interested in devices which are in their hands and it is controlled by them. They move from screen to screen, from page to page, and their interests are short living, and quick swapping from one idea to the other is happening. So, consumer is in absolute control. What I intend to say is, if I am trying to deliver a message across, and if my audience is not interested, my audience will quickly move to a different arena or engagement, right? So I cannot go on making the same old promotional communications through the mass media alone, the broadcast media alone. Now I need to focus on the digital media as well, understanding the digital engagement behavior of my consumers. Now, looking at this, we need to change our approach. So the IMC executives these days are moving towards communicating and completing the communication much better and more effectively through the digital media. Now look at this, what Unilever has done. They have got a product called Whisk, a detergent powder. Now, what they did is instead of pushing the product or forcing the product into the market through the channels, now they wanted to create a pull impact and then see how wonderfully they did. Now, since the consumer is not ready and is not receptive to whatever I push and pump in or I force them to receive, rather, I need to be there where my audience's attention persists or exists, right? So, what did Whisk do? Now, Whisk started appearing in places where their prospective consumers would be active, right? So, they place these ads in the targeted websites, and then they said like, we are there where our consumers are present. For this, they had an approach. They said, where your passion exists, we exist there, right? So, what did they do? For foodies who would be browsing pages on about food, so something like foodnetwork.com, West preferred to appear there. Okay. Similarly, people who engage in do-it-yourself activities. So DIY.com is a web page where these people are there. So they said that this became the touch point. So West says, now your passion gets you dirty and our power gets you clean. West detergent. Wherever our passion is, say suppose I'm a foodie, I love devouring food, and possibly I would dirty my fingers as an Indian preferring to have finger food, right? And I have to clean it. So, what is the best way to clean if I spoil my tablecloth or maybe I spill some food on my shirt? Best detergent. So this is how it happens. Now there are people who work and engage themselves in do-it-yourself activities, and when we mess up with the glue or the different paints or colors and all this the adhesives and all, so there's a possibility that we dirty our surroundings. And West detergent helps in utmost best way of cleaning. So this is how they reach us. Now, uh, the next step is actually the next key element is actually like use a form of relevant contact or touch point. Like in the previous one, we discussed about how Whisk uses sites where people spend time based on their passion. Similarly, we are talking now about those touch points. IMC tries or attempts to be everywhere where the prospect is active. So, IMC targets for a 360-degree presence, bringing information, persuasion, and conviction about the product or service and their performance and commitment to the customer to satisfy them to the best possible extent, providing them the delight to be associated with that particular brand. Okay. Apple is a master in understanding the consumer touch points, and for that reason, the way they promote the products, they get utmost success. Uh, Procter and Gamble also did something like Unilever. Now, this is slightly different. Now, instead of keeping the product or providing the product or talking about the product, they only talked about the functionality of their product Tide. Now, uh, in places like food joints or say pizza shops and all, they placed napkins, and on each napkin they had their logo, the Tide logo. They didn't talk about the product. All they said is because napkins are never in the right place at the right time. Okay. Now what happens? Well, you are very happy to find a piece of napkin in a place where you least expected but most wanted. But at the same time, you came across the logo Tide. You move out from that place, and later, this particular image happens to reappear in your mind's eye. We call this the mental imagery. And the subconscious mind keeps reminding you about the product that is Tide. And that's the fabulous impact created by the IMC. Okay. Now, the third element that we need to understand is IMC speaks a single voice. In a single voice, IMC speak. What does that mean? Across the various platforms, across the various media that they use, right, and the activities they engage you in, the message has to be consistent, right? Now, how does this happen? Coordination of the message and media needs to be done. Okay. Now, now this is absolutely important because it tells about the consistency of the brand, the product, the service the company is offering. Nabisco's Oreo consumers get the same message whenever they come across Oreo biscuits, right? Similarly, we can also see this single voice in several such advertisements. Now, single voice principle involves selecting a specific positioning statement which gets established in the consumer's mind. Now that's the impact single voice actually does, right? So through various channels, when you come across the message, it gets reinforced. I mean, first you understand, then you remember, reinforce, and then when you buy, your behavior changes accordingly. Okay. Now, the fourth element that IMC focuses on is build relationships. Uh, well, as I said, when you remember the product, the service, the brand, the company, you go for a repeat purchase because you are convinced the product satisfies your expectation, meets your expectation 100%. Now, relationships will be strengthened when you go for repeat purchase, and ideally it will lead to loyalty. IMC targets at establishing such bonding with the consumer, and it will welcome the loyal customers and will be happy to have such loyalty from the customers. Now, if we look at Harley Davidson's approach, now what you see is they have a community, the Harley Owners Group, HOGS. Uh, on their 100th anniversary, now 1 million riders gathered in the spot, and then that was an experience. So IMC also generates or creates such events and situations where you experience and further get convinced about the belief that they are creating, right? Okay. uh, well, the fifth effect the IMC is trying to impact on is, or the fifth feature of IMC is like they affect the behavior. Now, when we say affect the behavior, what are we trying to intend to? Now, there are certain institutional advertisements, as I said, institutional communications, which I said. Besides that, even certain regular communication attempts that this IMC creates, they affect the behavior of the target customers. How? Now, if there is a mishap that has occurred, and then uh, the company is trying to help through collection of some funds, right? Now, a campaign that reminds people of the recent tragedy will be ineffective if people only watch it and pity on it or feel sorry for it. Rather, having seen this and having been convinced about the help the company is trying to render, can join this by actually contributing to the relief fund. Okay, so IMC is trying to affect the behavior. It is not just a fling that they want to show or communicate or remind people that something has happened. Rather, they are a channel through which you can render your help as well. Okay. Now, let us look at the. Uh, let's move on to the next aspect. Movement. Okay. Let us look at how the IMC process takes place, right? Okay. Now, the first step in IMC is identification of the target market or the target market segments. Uh, the second step is to ascertain some communication objectives. Okay. And the third step is to plan and design a communication message, right? And the fourth step will be the implementation of the communication strategy or the promotional strategy. And then we have the fifth step, that is evaluation or gathering the customer feedback. Okay. Let's look at the first step. Uh, Here, I would like to approach understanding this IMC process through a certain small strategy by itself, which we call the Simon Sinek's method of learning something, understanding something. Now, the why, how, and what of each of these steps. I believe this will help you remember the concepts way better, right? So the first step, identification of the target market segments. Why do we have to do this? We need to identify our target audience so as to design the promotional strategies as per the customer's expectation. You remember the phrase I use, outside in, right? So when we segment the market and try understanding the behavior and preferences of these customers, then we can create the message according to that target audience of ours. So this is the reason why we need to target the market segment, identify the target market segments. How do we do that? Segmentation is a way of trying to identify who the customer is and what is their behavior, preferences, interests, needs, everything. Okay, so we identify the target audience. What is it that we do in this step actually? Now, IMC identifies those customers, then integrates and coordinates the message that they need to communicate to these through the marketing promotion tools. The marketing promotion tools, be it advertising, be it be it personal selling, be it digital marketing, whatever, right? Through which tool do we reach these people? Okay, so identifying the target market segmentation is the first step. Okay, we move on to the next step, that is ascertain some common objectives. Now, why do we have to do this? Let us understand this. Now that we know who we are communicating to and what is the message that we have to convey, so we need to frame the objectives. And once the objective is created, once the objective is designed or framed, we need to implement it. So, to implement, before we implement this objective, we need to be rest assured that the message would do its purpose or meet its purpose. So, achieving a management consensus is important. IMC has got multiple promotional tools like advertising, PR, personal selling, sales promotion, etc. Now, each of these have to be in coordination. You remember we used one term called the single voice. So, all these various promotional tools need to be in sync. So, when we create an objective, we need to ensure that each of these executives and the management understand our objective thoroughly, right? To accomplish that particular specific brand message being created. Now, once the objective is created, the objective will guide the Marcom executives. The Marcom executives are those from each of these promotional area, like the personal selling, the advertising department, the sales, personal and sales promotion, personal selling and sales promotion, the PR. So each of these Marcom divisions now they need to understand these objectives thoroughly and set the guide. I mean, the objectives will guide them through the to creating and delivering the message, in creating a budget, in creating the message, and choosing the right video to convey this. Okay. Having created the objectives, having designed, defined, and framed these objectives, we can set certain standards, right? And these quantitative yardsticks will help us check whether we have been successful in communicating to the target consumers what we have intended to communicate, right? So, before we plan, we test how much awareness a certain target audience has, and after implementing this promotional tool and communicating, we can conduct a post test and see how much of awareness has been created. This is just one example. So, for various activities, we can do this and check. So, the reason for having objectives is quite clear. Now, what do we do in this and how do we do? So, let us move on to how we do this. Usually, when we set clear objectives, we need to ensure that the objectives uh, are having a magnitude and also a set time, like a magnitude in the sense, like if the message is specific, if the message is specific and can be measured, right? And is it attainable? See, setting a target is okay, but is the target attainable and is it rational? Now, this is the magnitude of the message being created. And at the same time, we need to see the scope of time, so that this particular object is accomplished in our IMC activity or various promotions. Well, what exactly are we trying to promote? Like any of these promotional strategies may be included as an objective, like creating a product or service awareness or a brand awareness, or communicating to the target customers uh, the competitive advantages, or generating leads is could be the objective. It can be like persuade the trade channel to stock the products in order to help the products reach the right customer at the right time. It can be like creating a brand equity for a certain buyer. Okay. We can also develop the corporate relations, or increase the corporate relations with special interest groups. Besides this, the objective can also be like retaining the buyers by repeated advertisement, repeated messages, and requesting them to keep being with the company, and promoting that loyalty. Also, changing the buying behavior is an objective. Like wearing a seat belt will keep them safe. So this is a behavior that you want to impress on the customers. And the it can also be like the objective of the IMC approach can be something like um, offsetting the bad image, right? If somehow there's a bad image, there's a mishap occurred, and you want to get the message across that it was a sheer accident and it's not something intentional, right? Okay. Moving on to the third step in the process of IMC, that is planning the message, planning and designing the communication message. Okay. Now, why do we have to plan the message? Like, if we have a certain message to be conveyed to a target audience, the message has to get the attention of the target audience and maintain the buyer's interest in the product, in the brand. Okay. And persuade the consumers to buy the product or avail the service, right? So we need to create a clear message that communicates and promises a certain brand benefit, or the product benefit, or the service advantage to the target consumers. Now, how do you do that? The Marcom team must design the message by using all the relevant promotional tools of the IMC, like personal selling, advertisements, um, sales promotions, okay, digital marketing, in a way that they are in line with each segment that we first devised. That means each target audience that we are attempting to communicate. Now, what is it that you will include in this plan and design of the communication message? Each of the promotional tools should convey and achieve the same objective that has been designed. And this is where we talk about the single voice for a unified message or unified brand image that we are creating and reaching the customer to meet a certain purpose or intent for which the consumer actually buys our product or service. Okay. The fourth step is what we call the implementation of promotional strategy. Now, why do we have to do this? No single channel can dominate in all the aspects that we are expecting to uh, benefit from. So, what we need to do actually is to accomplish the goals as the market needs change, and market needs keep on changing from time to time. Now, how do we do this? If we can integrate and coordinate all the marketing promotional tools in a very useful manner, then we can bring this implementation of promotional strategy as desired. Now, what is it that we'll have in this implementation of promotional strategy? IMC practitioners need to use all the forms of promotional tools to meet the touch points, to appear in the touch points the prospect and the customer are always active at. If you remember the Unilever's approach, or the Procter and Gamble approach, or Apple's approach, we understand that these companies try to give a 360-degree presence all around the consumer, and bring those touch points to inform, to persuade, to remind about the products. Right now, we move on to the last stage, that is collection of the feedback. Why do we have to do it? Millions of dollars go into each of these promotional activity, this integrated marketing communication, like advertising and all. You pump in a lot of your revenue and invest it in it with an intention that it generates more revenue, right? Now, the objective that you have set for yourself, are you able to achieve it, is what you need to test. So we need to collect the feedback. A survey for the purpose of feedback from the target audience is very essential, so that the Marcom measures the results and sees if it has met the objective. It is important. Are we having, are we able to get the return on investment for the investment we have made through these communication attempts? Did it really generate that kind of a revenue for the company or not? Okay, how do we do that? Firms usually seek the information or the effectiveness of the message through surveys, and they may be asking questions like how many times the audience has come across this message, the ad, right? Or it can be something like a question, does the audience remember what it has seen through this promotional activity? Or they may even see like how many of the target audiences have actually bought the product or recommended the product to someone, and how they impacted, right? So now what exactly do the Marcom executives do in this final step? They measure the communication attempted, and these communication outcomes can include the brand awareness. It can be like the message consumption, message retention, change of attitude or behavior, and also the purchase intention, right? So beginning from understanding who the target audience is, to finding out the right promotional tool to reach this target audience, and then create an objective. Setting the objectives, we move on to implementing a message, plan and design a message and implement it, and finally check if this message has been effective. Well, in your study material, you will be coming across certain other details, like each of these marketing promotional tool IMC uses, like advertising, and what is advertising, and how it impacts, or how it is functional, and how it what kind of outcomes it results, and then promotions, sales promotions, then public relations, personal selling, digital marketing, all this. Please go through that, and in the next class we will actually discuss more about the IMC elements and how they are impacting the target audience's behavior. Uh, we will also discuss on each of these, compare one with the other, and see like which would be most effective. With a lot of examples, we'll be discussing each of these medium on channel. Now, I would remind you with the task assigned, like we had discussed about the Amal advertisement. I had asked you to analyze any other advertisement with the same spirit. Now, what you need to do is you need to compare and see each of these marketing promotional tools used by the company, okay, to promote its brand, and why are they promoting it? What is the communication purpose they are trying to meet through their promotional tools? Well, if you have any questions, you can always reach to me at Rajugopal Silla at gmail.com. Right. That is for today, and thank you.